So, a big part of the news recently has been Taylor Swift and the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl turned out to be a total garbage show, as I'm actually not too upset. I'm a Broncos fan, so I was very happy to see Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs lose big time to the Eagles, though I don't like the Eagles either. Honestly, I didn't watch because I just didn't have any interest. But that's a topic we're going to get to. Now, Taylor Swift was booed, and I want to show this because this is pretty interesting. And it actually, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan at all, but she got booed, as we will watch here. And this is her reaction. As she's getting booed, she says, "What is going on?" Let's watch that one more time. She's like, she hears it. It's not something that Taylor Swift, the biggest artist in the world right now, is used to. What is going on? Why is she being booed? And honestly, that little clip actually made me like her a little bit more. It made her a little bit more real, a little bit more real. And this is exactly the topic I wanted to talk about. And something that I think is really interesting because you've seen this is what's happened to media in the last few years. Media that has been real, genuine. That's what people like now. Joe Rogan is the top podcast, not because he's overly intelligent, not because he's a great interviewer. He can be good, sometimes better than others. His topics are sometimes insane, honestly, and stupid, and his opinions are ridiculous often. But he's genuine. He's just a normal guy who has a lot of people that people want to hear a normal guy talk to. You know, if Joe Rogan talks to Mel Gibson, then you think, oh, that's a normal guy talking to Mel Gibson, kind of a thing. And it's genuine. He's a normal dude. And you see that all throughout YouTube. And it's something that you've seen CNN, NBC, the people who talk the news like they are robots. We are reporting from Egypt about the bombing in the blah, 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 blah. No one likes it anymore. Now, you'll watch the news for the news, of course, so yeah, you'll get that, but you don't want their opinions. You don't care about Shepard Smith and what he has to say, right? Because Shepard Smith is reading from a script and he doesn't seem real. He seems like a robot. He's someone who's just like, hey, someone else wrote this for me. Maybe he wrote it himself, and he's reading from a screen. And I think it's something that a few people have figured out. Tucker Carlson is one. Now, Tucker Carlson used to be one of those guys, and he learned, okay, I need to be, real. I need to be genuine. And I think that he has his own issues. I don't agree with everything, but he has learned the role of being genuine. You see that also in the sports world. This is what's happening. You've seen the NBA. I was just looking at the stats the other day. The NBA has shrunk by something like half of what it used to be 20 years ago in terms of viewing audience. Now, part of that is because no one watches TV anywhere at all, so they don't watch sports or the NBA. A lot of people still watch the NFL, or did at least. I guarantee you, the Super Bowl will not be a heavily watched Super Bowl. But a part of it, again, I think it's because people want to trust what they're viewing. They want it just to be genuine. They want it to be real. That's why people have watched sports for a generation, or generations, I should say, a century. They've watched it forever because it is real. It is not scripted, or, well, it wasn't, at least. And I think that's when you even have a question of that. And that's what's happened in the NFL. And I don't even know if I believe that, that the Chiefs have been scripted to win, even though they lost their third attempt. They've won two in a row and they lost this one. I think people were thinking that it was scripted. So even that fact, even if it wasn't scripted, the fact that there were enough people that thought it might be made it a problem enough that people just tuned out. They didn't want to watch. They didn't care. And you saw that, when that gets into the mentality of your viewership, they're just going to tune out. And I think that happened with Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift is hugely popular. She's one of the most popular, maybe the most popular singer of all time. And I think that's the question. Why? Why is she the most popular singer ever? She's not that talented. She's talented. She is talented. She's good. She sings decent songs. Like, I'm not saying morally or any of that. I'm just saying her talent. She's okay. But most of her songs, and I've heard a lot of them, they are coffee shop music. They're not great. She's not this like legendary talent. Now, there are plenty of people who don't like the Beatles. I don't really like them either, but they have songs, and you can understand when you listen to them why they were a cultural phenomenon. You get it. Like, if you listen to it, it's like, okay, this was a change. Elvis Presley, why was this different? It was right during the sexual revolution, etc. You had this change, this shift in culture. Taylor Swift is none of that. 50 years from now, people will hear a Taylor Swift song and they will not know it was Taylor Swift. For sure. I promise you. If you just plug on, and I can tell you that if you plug on a random track from Taylor Swift, you won't know if it's her or if it's some gal singing, in her garage in San Antonio and uploading it to iTunes. She's just not that good. I'm sorry, she's just not. I don't hate her. I don't have a big problem with her. She seems, compared to most rock artists, relatively moral, though obviously not. She's had many boyfriends, etc. I'm not saying she's moral. I'm certainly not advocating for Taylor Swift. My point is she's pretty meh, considering, okay, she's kind of talented. How is she the biggest thing in the world? And then I think that you just see that when you put her all the time on the screen in football games, people are like, dude, stop. Knock it off. They're sick of it. It's not genuine. It's pushed. It's marketed. And when you start creeping in that idea into sports fans that this is marketed, that you might be pushing an agenda, Black Lives Matter, etc., they're going to leave. People want genuine sports, especially, but news, podcasts, etc. They want someone who's just going to give it to them as that person thinks it is. And in sports, I just wanted to be real. I mean, I've been a sports fan since I was 3. I'm a gigantic sports fan. Huge, huge. I love sports. Baseball, basketball, football, a little bit of hockey, a little bit of soccer. I love them. Maybe too much sometimes. I just wanted to be real. I want my team to have a chance. And if they lose, they lose. If they win, awesome. If they lose, okay. But I wanted to really think, okay, it's just sports. It's people competing. That's a human being and that's a human being and they're fighting it out together. I think that's a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with sports. Now it can be pushed to an extreme and overdone, of course. But when you start pushing these fake narratives, when you see in the NBA, you see Luka Doncic, one of the top 5 players in basketball. He's 25 years old, just randomly get traded to the biggest market in basketball for nothing, for peanuts. Really? Really? I mean, I'm not saying it was a conspiracy or whatever. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a bad GM trading his best player for nothing. That's probably the most likely. But when you get that creeping little idea into my head, to the heads of the fans, that maybe this isn't real, maybe they are just making this up, maybe this is rigged, at least to a small percentage, you're going to hurt yourself. And it's been hurt since Michael Jordan in the NBA. NFL has survived because they have a good product that is, it's cool and fun and fast, but it's ending too. If people can't hit anymore in football and you're not sure if it's even rigged, you don't know who are the big time stars. I mean, you don't have real greatness. Like right now, Patrick Mahomes, who as a person seems pretty okay, but he's being touted as the greatest of all time. Really? Have you watched him? Come on. He's not good. Maybe you're talking to the top 10, top 20. Okay. Yeah. So one of the greatest. Okay. I can hear that. Like the top 3, top 1, not even close. And that's just the generation we live in, right? It's all hyperbole. It's all settling for something that at the moment seems great and you can't actually compare it to what's come before. The people who lived during Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal in the NBA, they knew this was great. They were great players facing off against each other, and it was brutal. It was rough. It was tough. They fought and they scraped and they beat each other up on the basketball court. And people loved that. Sorry. And now it's just, they've softened everything. They've turned everything feminine. We've talked about that before. Everything's become feminine. Even NBA, even NFL is becoming that. Oh, don't hit the quarterback because maybe then he'd be hurt. Oh, give me a break. Bring masculinity back to sports, and then maybe you'll bring the fans back as well. I tell you right now, get Taylor Swift out of there. Get her out. She can do her own thing. It's fine. Go be famous with teenage girls. Great. Good for you. I will never care ever again. Get her out of the NFL. I don't want to see her face ever again. Bring masculinity back to sports. Bring true masculinity back to, the world. Stop having things run by feminine people who want to turn things soft and, oh, I don't want to hurt feelings. And, oh dear, let's make sure everyone's happy. No, there's winners and there's losers. Let's bring the best specimens, the best athletes in the world, and face them off against each other and see what happens. That's what we want. We don't want any of this stupid nonsense of teenage girl singers dating bad tight ends always shown on the television during a football game. Knock it off, or we're all going to leave.